here we are in our mailbag segment. So our first question of the day, with the news that Drew Brees has officially retired, what is Alvin Kamara's value now? And this comes from Dean from the UK NFL Fantasy Football Fans Facebook group. And Chris, I believe you're answering this one since you're the Saints fan. Go ahead.
Dean, thanks for the question. Before I get into Alvin Kamara, I just want to extend a thank you to Drew Brees from Saints Nation. 15 great seasons, a Super Bowl, perennial winners. It's going to be tough to see him go, but it's definitely going to be a different face for the franchise moving forward. But I'm looking forward to something new here. So I'm looking forward to LASIK Jameis Winston. But with that, because I think Jameis Winston's going to be the Saints starter and not Taysom Hill, I think Taysom Hill's still going to run in kind of the same package that he ran when Drew Brees was the starter. I still think that the offense at the beginning and for now, probably for the rest of the season, is going to go through Alvin Kamara. He's going to be the focal point. He is the three-down back. Latavius Murray's most likely gone. They don't really have money to sign him. They're going to bring in guys that aren't going to be up to the talent level of Alvin Kamara. So he's going to be the three-down back. He's going to get the snap share. They're going to lean on him this year. They're going to lean on him a lot this year. I think he's going to be Jameis Winston's safety blanket. So not only is he going to get the touches running the ball, he's also going to get the touches catching the ball. So Going into the 2021 season, I could definitely still see him finishing as a top 3 running back. I don't really see him having too much of a regression. PPR leagues, he's going to get the points. Standard leagues, he's going to get the points. As for your question, I don't think, because if Taysom Hill was named the starter, I think he would take a bit of a hit. But because it's forecasted that Jameis Winston's going to end up taking the starting position as the Saints signal caller in the backfield, I think that Alvin Kamara is going to be just fine.
Yeah, I see it that way as well. As long as Winston's there, if it's like you said, if it's Taysom, that could pose some problems like it did last year. I mean, he'll probably still be a good back, but not the numbers he would if with what they'll probably do with Winston in the packages.
Yeah, he definitely took a hit especially in the red zone with Taysom Hill at the quarterback. He's definitely a run before throw first quarterback. He's going to look for the lane before he looks for the throw, which I think kind of hinders his abilities as a quarterback. But if Jameis is there, I don't think it's going to hamper his opportunities at all.
All right. Next question. So, should I trade Kelsey now in a dynasty with his value so high, or just keep him until he retires? And this is from Mike. And I think, Frank, you're answering this one.
You know, if you're listening to this and you're in any of the leagues that you're in with me, trade him as soon as possible. Just fast forward now about 30 seconds. No, but all seriousness, I wouldn't trade for Kelsey unless you got a crazy offer. I doubt many would offer what it would take. He's basically a top 5 fantasy wide receiver that you could play in your tight end slot. So he's just so far above the rest of the pack that he's a fantasy game changer. I'd hold on to him for the long haul. I don't think you'll have to worry about the tight end position for a long time.
I think his age, though, in Dynasty is kind of going to hold him back a little bit. Like if someone's going to offer me a wide receiver too, some draft capital and stuff like that, I might have to think about it depending on the structure of my team. He is a fantasy asset. He is going to put up big points, but man, if in a dynasty, he's what, 33?
33 or 34, he's somewhere
33,
there. So.
He plays the middle of the field. He takes a lot of big hits. I mean, it's only a matter of time before he starts wearing down. If you're in a win now spot, trade for Travis Kelce. It's a no-brainer. Right?
For sure, I would definitely trade for him.
If you're in a rebuild spot, wait halfway through the year, wait in your trade deadline, try to attack one of those win now teams with them, and maximize your gains back, right? So if you can move them before the draft, and it's just everybody right now is hyped up for these rookie drafts that they don't want to move rookie picks. It's hard to make these moves during the off season, right? So.
Yeah,
I just don't
I
think
agree. If you're going to be in a position to trade him, first of all, I have him. I'm not going to trade him. Like, so I'm not worried about that right now. But I think if you're in a position where you need to kind of look at the future of your team, you're right, Chris. You want to be able to hang on to him, make sure he's doing well, like, within the first 5-6 weeks of the season, and then get the most you can. He's one of those guys where I think he's at the pinnacle of his career. Over the next kind of 2 years, I think he's still going to be up there 2, maybe 3. But you're right; they're going to start wearing down. They're going to start, getting to him, and injuries and whatnot. So he's got some life in him for sure, and he's definitely going to be that workhorse for you. But he's got an expiration date, just like all the rest of these guys. So depending on where you are in your season, Frank, to your point, what you said, you got to look at that and say, how can I get the maximum return, whether it means winning to now or building for the future.
Yeah, and I think, at this point, I don't think I'd rather keep him for what I think other people would be willing to pay for him at this point. Yeah.
So the last tight end I'd compare him to in that age value that was actually still good is what, Antonio Gates, and he went to what, 35-ish.
Mm-hmm.
He's better than Gates.
Gronk.
Sorry,
How old's Gronk?
Gronk's
31?
32.
32.
But
Yeah.
Gronk retired already, came back.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
I'm,
he's
I'm
a
talking
big
like
31 in football.
yeah, but I'm
But,
talking
but
that went
tight
the
end-
older that regressed
Yeah,
as he
yeah.
went, right? I mean, I think Gates is the closest I can think of where he at least was still good up until 34, 35-ish, and then it started to go. I think you're right. Kelsey's got at least another 2, maybe 3
I'm
years
sure.
left in him. The question is, how long do you think he can go for? If you think he can go for, till 37, 38, I don't think he's had that big injury yet. Has he gotten hurt
No,
really badly
no.
yet? So
He's pretty sturdy.
of course, right. But I mean, you're looking at him getting older, and this now, if you get an injury now, it takes him a lot longer to heal up than it did 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So,
Yeah.
And I think
you're
people
playing
know
with
that.
things.
Yeah, and people know
But,
that. And they're
but
not gonna
right now,
offer you a
his
lot,
value is
so-
the highest. If you're going to
Sure.
trade him right now, that's where you're going to get your most back. Because if that
Well,
happens and you wait till the injury, you're not getting that anymore.
If you get a blockbuster deal, go ahead, trade him. Like if somebody's going to give you crazy, a solid player or two, and then some high draft picks for the next couple of years, go for it. Definitely.
Well, Frank, like one of your favorite wrestlers would say, everybody's got a price. There you go.
This is where in Dynasty I like to use the trade block feature that some of the leagues have, and you
Yeah.
throw the name on the trade block, get everybody to be like, "Ooh, that guy's available. Hold on," and
Tiddly.
kind of sit back,
Yep.
see what the offers are.
Bring the
If you
price
like
up.
them, take
You got
one.
it.
If you don't, you don't have to worry about it.
That's exactly right.
Oh. All right, our next question. Back to the Cowboys. I like these Cowboy questions. What is Zeke's trade value in a dynasty or keeper league? And this is from Raj. And Frank, I think you're answering this one.
Yeah, nice question, Raj. It really depends on your current outlook. Like we just talked about Kelsey. If you're a win now team, I'd be willing to move any draft pick for Zeke right now, except maybe the 101. You're probably not going to have that if you're a win now team. But if you already have Elliott, I see it's a reasonable way to trade him while it's it's hard to see a reasonable way to trade him and staying in a win now mode. So you're going to be keeping him. And if you're in a rebuilding team, you got your sights 2022 or later. You could probably get a good return for him. It might be the last time you get less chance to get that big return from him. Maybe you can get a top 5 pick and either another pick along with that, or a every player. Maybe you can get a couple solid young guys. Could a contending team give you like a Chase Claypool and an AJ Dillon, and maybe a draft pick? Those guys aren't nearly as valuable as Zeke in the near future, but 2-3 years down the line they could be. So just explore the market. See what's out there. Maximize your trade window while you can. If you're a big believer in Zeke having a strong year next year, hold him and explore the market again. Week 4, week 5.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about him last week. I know that, in our last episode, sorry. And
Yeah.
I agree with you, Frank. I think personally right now I'd hold. I think with Dak
Definitely.
signing for the next 4 years, I think that is only going to bring his value up. And I think people are going to pay you really. They want to look at a buy low right now for him, and they're not going to give you the value that
Exactly.
he's worth.
No.
So I'd hold for now and hope that he skyrockets, which I think he will do. But if you're strapped, like Frank said, and you're a team that's in a rebuilding mode, and he might be a piece you can get a few things for now, you might think that way. But if you can hold on to him, I think you're going to get some good value out of him later
Sure.
to either trade or the fact that he'll help you win some games.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and our next question. Do you have any buy low targets? And this is from Jackie. And Chris, I think this is you.
Thanks for writing in, Jack. I'm going to give you 3 good buy low targets here coming into the season: a wide receiver, a running back, and a quarterback. At the wide receiver, Tyler Boyd is one of my buy low targets between weeks 1 to 11 before Joe Burrow went down with his devastating season-ending knee injury. Tyler Boyd was wide receiver 11. Due to his slot receiving prowess and the fact that since he was league leading in pass attempts, Boyd may be someone you can get at a discount if owners fear he could lose catches to Higgins, or if Cincy drafts another offensive weapon. If you look at Joe Burrow's numbers, passing numbers to the slot receiver, it's one of his favorite targets. So if you can get Tyler Boyd at a buy low rate, he's one of my buy low targets. For the running back, it's one of Sam's favorite guys, Ronald Jones, RB10 from weeks 1 to 12. In 14 games last season, he had 6th most yards in attempts, 7th in yards created per game, 8th in total yards created, and finished 12th in total rushing yards. With Lombardi Lenny's recent playoff performance, managers' minds and the optics that they're trying to get the band back together, Jones could be had at a significant discount for a potential RB1. Personally, I don't think playoff Lenny stays in Tampa. So if you can jump on Ronald Jones now, like I said, while that playoff picture is still in some of these owners' minds, you may be able to get him at a good rate. And last but not least, this one's a bit of a surprise, but my buy low target for quarterbacks is Marcus Mariota. He filled in for the injured Derek Carr during Week 15 and posted 226 passing yards with 88 yards on the ground and 3 total touchdowns. Although it was a small sample size, the standalone performance might land Mariota a starting job as a bridge quarterback somewhere in 2021. The Raiders have reportedly been taking trade calls for Mariota, and it's only a matter of time until a team makes a deal for the 27-year-old. Former number 2 overall pick. In the right offense, Mariota could be a safe QB3, especially in superflex formats. Send out an offer to the Mariota manager. If he's on waivers, that's even better. But see if you can get what his current price tag is. He could be had at a relatively cheap cost compared to what his value would be if he gets traded and is named the starter in 2021.
So that's important to do the most with your small samples.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got a few follow-ups on this. I'm going to start at Mariota. So you're telling me that there's a chance that Mariota and Winston are both playing this season? What year are we in?
Yeah.
Call it Kaepernick.
Exactly. Yeah, I think Winston definitely, but Mariota is like, if you're in a dynasty and you're looking for that, that, like I said, buy low target, he could. What you're gonna get him at now compared to what his value is gonna be if he's named the starter. I mean, I held Winston all year in some leagues, and I was getting offered 3rd round picks, 2nd round picks, and now if he's named the starter of the Saints, his value is through the roof.
Yep. Next one, if you had the option, Boyd or Higgins, who are you taking?
Oh man.
Well, you put it out there. They're both there.
Yep, they're both there. I think I'm probably taking Higgins over Boyd.
Is that dynasty, or is that
Dynasty.
in general across all boards?
Dang, that's a good question, James. Put me on the spot with that one.
This is what I do.
I mean, dynasty, I'm probably going Higgins just based on age. Redraft, I think it's a toss up. And then keeper, I'm probably going Higgins again.
Yeah.
Part of me asked that because I have both of them in our keeper league, and I'm curious, still trying to figure out who I want to take. So it's a little bit in my own.
Yeah, but just look up the numbers of Joe Burrow passing to the slot receivers in the history of Joe Burrow, and you're going to see that it's his favorite target. So I don't think you can miss either way.
I have a few honorable mentions in the same lines of the possible trade scenario. I think Sam Darnold could be a nice buy low if he gets traded to the right team. I think people are really sleeping on him right now because of the fact that he obviously had mono last year. He wasn't good. The Jets are horrible. Even on the Jets, depending if they get some wide receivers, he still could be good. At least have a better year than last year. Another quarterback also in New York, Daniel Jones, could also be someone that has a rebound year that could be good on a buy low. When they add Saquon back to that team, that changes the fact of what they do to the quarterback. Totally. And if he could add a few offensive line pieces, I heard that they were getting back, that could be a different team there too. So those are just some extras. Sorry?
He's a Ferrari, that Daniel Jones.
No, he's not a Ferrari. You tried to trade him to me like a Ferrari. He's more of a Corolla right now, but he could
be with a Ferrari kit.
Anyways, yes, just a few extra there to add. Let's go on the flip side of that. So again, back to you, Chris. Do you have any sell high targets?
Yeah, I think this one was sent in by Phil, right? Was that the guy who sent it in?
Oh, yeah, sorry, by Phil, yes.
Phil, I have a few great sell-high targets that can turn out netting owners of these guys a good bang for the buck. One of these guys for me is Chicago running back David Montgomery. It's time to cash in on Montgomery's stellar 2020 season. His RB4 finish doesn't tell the entire story. Montgomery was only the RB20 through the first 10 weeks of the season before turning it on in the second half and finishing as the RB4 overall in half PPR leagues. While the finish was nothing short of impressive, Montgomery capitalized on a very running back friendly schedule from weeks 12 to 17 and averaged an unsustainable 23.7 points per game for fantasy owners. I mean, this guy took some of these guys. Yeah, exactly.
I'm one of them.
Yeah. I mean, James goofed and traded him. He still ended up winning that league, but he took a chance to trade for CMC in that one. But if you roster Dave Montgomery in a dynasty formats, you could probably move him for a first-round draft pick and an established RB2. So he's a sell high target of mine. Another one for me is OBJ. OBJ, he still brings that name brand attention, and for some reason, absence due to injury makes the heart grow fonder for many fantasy players. The uncertainty of his role or a potential new landing spot, which I think there's been reports that Tom Brady wants the Bucs to try to trade for him. Makes me feel this is the last chance to get any decent return that you can for OBJ. One of the questions you have to ask yourself is, how many wide receiver 1 seasons does he have in front of him? You guys have a guess?
Not many.
Well, my answer is 0. If someone was willing to, I would gladly take a DJ Shark or Jerry Jeudy, who just had a kind of off year. He's another buy low target of mine. In some kind of exchange like that. And lastly, this one kind of hurts. It pains me to say this, even though I just spoke so highly of him at the beginning. But it's my boy AK, Alvin Kamara. As an AK owner in some leagues, I'm looking to sell Kamara. This far in his career, he's been nothing short of successful. However, I'm a numbers guy, and the numbers tell me it's very rare for a running back to have continued success as an RB1 after the age of 26. We saw a glimpse of how he might not produce at a high level if Taysom Hill is the QB next season. if I'm the Kamara owner and I'm selling high, I'm looking to get 2 first-round picks inside the top 6 in the 2021 rookie draft. I'd rather be a year out, just like Kelsey. I'd rather be a year out too early than a year too late on most of these running backs. So those are my 3 sell high targets.
Hey, if AK doesn't do anything all year and then he gets 8 touchdowns in the championship game, I'm okay with that. What are the odds he does that again?
I will put this out there, and I don't know how he does it. I wonder if sometimes if Chris has a crystal ball at home that he's going to for these things. But for some reason, every year when Chris trades away these superstar guys and we look at him like he's crazy, they either end up getting hurt, they have a horrible year. I don't know what it is. It's mind-boggling. He's traded CMC.
Exactly.
He's traded like big names. I've seen him tell me, "No, I'm trading these guys away," and I'm looking at him like, "How could you do it?" And then, 2 seconds later or 3 weeks in, they're hurt. They're on the floor. They're not scoring, and I'm just like, "How did you know?" And so
Listen,
I got the voodoo dolls, man.
yeah. So whatever it is,
What do you think
don't
happened to
take those
Dak?
3 names. There's a good chance that probably 2 of those 3 are gonna hit, maybe even all 3, and you're gonna be like, that guy, he really can do it. So I asked Frank because he traded him Barkley when he got hurt. He traded McCaffrey to another guy that he got hurt. So I've seen it. So
Yeah.
There you go.
all right, our next question. So with the news of Aaron Jones signing, what is the trade value of A.J. Dillon after this? Should I hold him or should I move him? This is from Orlando. And I think, Frank, you're answering this one.
Good old Matt. I know him. I think this question has already been answered now that Aaron Jones has been re-signed. But I definitely hold on to A.J. Dillon in dynasty leagues. I doubt the Packers will bring back Jamal Williams too, so A.J. is going to be the clear-cut number 2 guy. And Aaron Jones has had some injury scares in the past, so there's no reason that he's not going to have a purpose for the Packers this year. I think he's a very talented guy. They could turn into a special running back in this league, so hold on to him for now.
Yeah, we touched base on that a little bit before. I know Sam sees him as a 50-50 split. I got it more of a 65-35, so we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I agree. Hold him, see what happens, especially with the injuries. I mean, running backs go down so fast this time of year during the season, so you'll find value for him. And if you're in deep leagues, he could even be a pretty good flex as well. So all right, next question. Another running back question. Lots of running back questions. Where do you see J.K. Dobbins' fantasy outlook? And this comes from JV. And I think, Sam, you're going to answer this one.
Yep. So I like this kid, J.K. Dobbins, right? He comes into a team, and basically, you know how a lot of teams have 2 running back schemes, maybe even a third. You're talking legit almost 4 running back schemes if you include Lamar Jackson in there, right? So I mean, he had Ingram. That was the number 1 back at the beginning of the year. Then he had Edwards. He had to deal with Lamar as well. So, for the first half of the season, for 7 games of the season, he was probably a bit of a disappointment. You thought he was coming in. He was going to, do more as that, rookie. Even though he was drafted a little late, I think a lot of people had him really, really high on the board. But after the bye week in 7, he actually started to step it up. On week 8, in fact, he saw 66% of the snap count on week 8. So for him, he was really, really effective. And then post week 10, actually after week 10, he scored at least 1 touchdown in each game. So he really established himself as like that guy in the backfield towards the end of the season. And, although they were probably disappointed with him at the beginning of the season, he actually did a pretty good job towards the end. He ended up with 134 carries and 805 yards. And he also caught 18 receptions for 120 yards. So when I look at moving forward, I think he's established himself as the main back in that backfield, and now Ingram's gone, and I think Edwards is going to be that power back, but because of JK's the combination of his speed, his power, his elusiveness, he is going to be the guy that they're going to rely on most of the time. So if he can get his number of carries up, which he will, because I think he's going to take a lot of those Ingram snaps that were going to Ingram before. And if he could get up to the, close to the 200 snap count, I could see him definitely breaking that, 1,000-yard threshold easily. And I think he's probably going to be in the top 15 or so of for PPR in terms of running backs across the league. So he's got a bright future, I think, in Baltimore. And now that they've kind of settled that backfield down, and as we talked about earlier when I talked about Lamar, if Lamar could be that pocket quarterback that they need him to be with some scrambling ability and the ability to kind of make people think twice, he's also going to see an uptick in his receiving back yardage as well. So I think, you hang on to him, and he's going to be a feature back for the Ravens for a long time, in my opinion.
Well put. I like it. Let's move on. So our next question here, how hard is Baker going to ball next year? Yes, that is exact word for word. That is from Dan. And Chris, I will let you answer this one.
Daniel, thanks for the question. As long as it's not snowing, raining, if there's no wind and he's inside, Baker can put up fantasy numbers. But he plays in Cleveland, unfortunately. They don't play in a dome. So all those things are going to be a factor in especially his fantasy success. You've seen it last year when he had those games where it was bad weather. He didn't really put up good numbers, and it was a stretch where it was like 4 games in a row. So he kind of hurt owners if you started him. If OBJ stays and they can maybe grab another wide receiver in the draft, I think really the sky's the limit for Baker this upcoming year. A second year on a Stefanski offense, I think he can definitely finish inside the top 10 of fantasy QBs.
Nice. Do you want to break the news to Dan that they're not going to win the Super Bowl, or should I?
I've been trying to break that news to him for the past 10 years or so, ever since he became a Cleveland Browns fan. So, but a little tidbit with Dan, before he was a Browns fan, he was a Lions fan. So he's definitely a glutton for punishment.
How could you do that?
Did he trade up? Did he trade up? Is my question.
No.
That's a lateral.
Maybe a playoff.
Now there's a difference.
Finally.
Now there's a difference.
They made the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Lions will win one before the Browns.
Baker's success relies upon Chubb and that defense, really.
Yeah.
All right, and our last question of this mailbag is who starts at QB for New England? Is it going to be Cam Newton or someone else? And this comes from Zach, and I'm going to take this one. And so I've been hearing, first of all, Cam Newton signed a 1-year deal for $14 million, so it looks like he's going to be the guy. They obviously don't have much else there. But from what I'm hearing is they are looking at other options. There's a good chance that they could bring in a rookie quarterback in the draft. There's also a good chance they could still sign someone else. Everything points to Cam's probably not going to be the guy to start there, and I'll tell you why. The backstory of what's happening is that apparently a lot of players were unhappy with the situation that Cam was in, where he only got a 1-year deal last year, and they felt for his caliber and sort of to be respectful to him, he should have probably got more, especially when you have backup quarterbacks getting more money than he did, such as Andy Dalton in Dallas, who's getting about, I think, $12 million, and there's some other ones. So in order for New England to kind of right that ship, it looks like what they did was they signed him to a second year to stay for $14 million, which kind of breaks down the 2-year deal at $7.5 million if you break down both seasons. I've even heard reports that he may not even make it out of training camp, that they may have someone else stay in there afterwards. It's just basically looks like it's more of a publicity thing to sort of show other players that they did right by this player and they made it up to Cam because he probably might not have gotten that kind of money on another team somewhere else. So, I'm hearing it's leaning probably 80-20 that he might not be the guy from everything that I'm seeing. But again, we'll have to see who else they bring in. If they choose not to bring anybody else in, then it's a completely different situation. It looks like they're doing a tank job, and they're probably trying to lose again. So I don't know. But as of right now, from what I'm hearing, it looks like it'll be just a possible backup role, or they may cut him before the season starts. But we'll have to see what else comes in first. So that answers all of our questions. Thank you for everybody that sent them in. We will be doing this again. I think it was pretty good as we get through the seasons, throughout the weeks and whatnot. Anyways, guys, what a show. That was good. I think we had some fun with that one. I hope we brought you guys some good information, answered your questions, had a little bit of fun there. Thank you for listening. Please follow us on Instagram at The Fantasy Football War Room. Tune in next week on Tuesday for our next episode. Have a good night.